Let's go back to that story. Traditional Affairs Minister Zweli Mkhize is addressing the spike in the number of initiate deaths this season. He's held a meeting with National House of Traditional Leaders in the Eastern Cape. Dozens of initiates have died, with most deaths occurring in that province. ENCA's Siphamandla Goke joining me now from our Durban studios. Siphamandla, so we saw a real spike, right, in the number of initiate deaths, and I think around mid-December, we were talking about 34 initiates that had died at that particular point, and about 20 of those were said to be from the Eastern Cape. A concerning situation. What is the update from the minister?
A concerning situation indeed, the highest number so far, according to the statistics, those are the numbers that you have just outlined. But shockingly, we have just heard from Nkosi Mahlangu, who is the chairperson for the National House of Traditional Leaders in South Africa. He has just told the gathering here in one of the hotels in Durban, where this gathering is taking place, that more than 400 people have died in the last 6 years, or in the past 6 years. Those are shocking statistics to us. But I will just ask him to join us now, because I see he has just finished his presentation. Nkosi, if you can come through, and we will talk about those statistics. First of all, let's talk about the current update. How many people have died?
Stats has just been properly collated. There are 37 people that have died, with 23 of them coming from the Eastern Cape and 8 coming from the Free State province. But in total, over the last 6 years, yes, the figure, it is shocking, at 403, with over 75 or close to 80% coming from the Eastern Cape, being the biggest contributor to the fatalities that we are facing in the country.
When are you going to declare this a national crisis?
Look, it is a national crisis, according to us. Hence, we are gathered here. We've been working throughout the festive season, trying to come up with solutions. And what we are happy for is that finally in the Eastern Cape, there is a greater acceptance that our youth, or people that we are living with, are not immune from the problems that the country is facing. We have the highest communicable diseases, we have the highest lifestyle diseases, so it means that there has to be medical intervention in everything that we do. So finally, at least traditional leaders and communities in the Eastern Cape, they are seeing the importance of participation of medical doctors. So hence the Department of Health is here. We are having discussions. We've also agreed that the legislation that is there in the Eastern Cape is an enough tool for them to be able to use to arrest those that are doing illegal things, because out of the 400, there's 25,000 initiates that went to illegal schools, and 80% of those that have died are from those illegal schools.
There is also an untold story of amputations. Many young men have lost their manhood. How many are those?
There's 132 amputations in the Eastern Cape alone. 100% of those amputations have happened in the Eastern Cape. So it's a serious problem. Hence, one has just said now that Eastern Cape is agreeing that there has to be serious medical intervention. So we think that with the medical intervention, we should be able to deal with issues and arrest those that are killing and maiming our young boys. Because as I said, it is mainly from illegal schools, and there is legislation that empowers the police to be able to arrest.
But you've been having such gatherings. If my memory serves me well, in 2013, 2014, you had a national indaba on this, and nothing changed. In fact, numbers keep on increasing.
Look, I can't say numbers kept on increasing. If you look at the statistics going back, the numbers were much higher than what we are talking about now. So it has decreased, but the biggest challenge is that if you look at provinces like Mpumalanga, where in 2012, 2013, we had 36 people that died in Mpumalanga in 1 year. Today, the figure are always 2, 1, 3 in Mpumalanga, because those interventions have worked. In Limpopo, you're not having any deaths, but in Eastern Cape continues to record the highest number of deaths. So we know that the problem in the country has been in the Eastern Cape, because it is both in winter and summer. So we need to deal with the Eastern Cape. Once we've dealt with the Eastern Cape, we've dealt with issues of initiation in the country.
Minister Mkhize says you must bear the responsibility as traditional leaders, because you are the ones who are allowing this catastrophe to continue.
Look, the legislation that is there, we've agreed, we said, as traditional leaders, give us our powers back to be able to deal with this issue. Because anybody and everybody could hold illegal initiation schools, and we had no powers to deal with them. But at least the piece of legislation gives us power. So now we are gladly responsible as traditional leaders for anything that happens in our own villages. It's a responsibility that we are taking, and that we think that will assist us in terms of assisting our communities, that our boys go alive and come back alive.
But there have been some arrests, more than 250, and what has happened? How many convictions?
Look, I can't give a clear stats in terms of convictions, but I know that there has been convictions. I think last week there was a conviction in the Eastern Cape. There's also been convictions in Mpumalanga where people have been sentenced to 15 years, for running illegal schools and murdering our children. So there is a bit of progress. This legislation is allowing police to be able to have teeth to be able to arrest those that are seriously denting the culture of initiation.
Okay, Nkosi, thank you very much for your time. That is Nkosi Sipho Mahlangu, who is the National Chairperson of the House of Traditional Leaders in South Africa. Shocking statistics that he has just presented inside that meeting that is underway to us. It's very shocking.
Absolutely. Jaw-dropping statistics there, Siphamandla. 403 young men having died in the last 6 years and 37 in the last, the last season of initiation. Thank you so much for that update. That's ENCA's Siphamandla Goge joining us from Durban with that update.